Picture this. You've got a perfectly sized 5 kilowatt inverter and a standard 2-ton air conditioner. You've done the math, and on paper, it's an absolute match made in heaven. But when you flip the switch, boom, system shut down. Why in the world does this happen? Why does a solar setup that seems completely capable on paper suddenly completely fail to run a standard AC unit? Well, today in this explainer, we're going to bust some major solar sizing myths and uncover the hidden electrical phenomenon that's actually bringing your system to its knees. All right, let's look at our roadmap for today. We'll start with a hidden startup surge, define locked rotor amps, track that startup spike, see how the whole thing ripples right back to your battery, and finally, look at how to actually design for the system stress. Okay, part 1, the hidden startup surge. When you turn on your AC, it just sounds like this gentle mechanical hum, right? But electrically speaking, it is a totally different story. If you take away anything today, remember this quote. What you are about to see is not running power. It is locked rotor current. We are not dealing with a smooth, steady power draw here. We're dealing with the immense, aggressive energy required to wake a resting mechanical beast from a dead stop. And honestly, here's exactly where the math tricks us. A 2-ton AC is rated for about 24,000 BTU per hour, or roughly 7,000 watts. But wait, that is thermal cooling capacity. That is not electrical input. The actual electricity your inverter has to supply follows the strict rules of the power formula. Power equals voltage times current times power factor, and it's heavily influenced by the unit's SEER efficiency rating. You simply can't treat thermal output like electrical demand. To understand why your system tripped, we have to look much deeper at the electrical side of the game. Moving right along to Section 2, defining locked rotor amps. So what is actually happening inside that compressor box? Well, locked rotor amps, or LRA, is the absolute maximum current drawn when a compressor motor tries to start from rest. And why does this massive draw happen? Because initially, the rotor just isn't spinning yet. And since it's not moving, there's no back EMF, that's back electromotive force, to act as a natural brake or resistance against the incoming current. Without that back EMF pushing back, the motor essentially acts like a short circuit, just gulping down massive amounts of current to force that stubborn rotor to finally turn. Just look at that multiplier, 4 to 8 times. That is the severity of the surge we're talking about here. Locked rotor amps are typically 4 to 8 times higher than the standard running current of your AC. Think about that. If your AC draws a modest 10 amps to run smoothly, it could demand up to 80 amps just to wake up. It's a severe, split-second electrical demand that almost everybody completely overlooks when they're sizing their gear. It's really a night and day difference between these two states. On one side, you have the locked rotor amps, this violent, split-second electrical explosion that happens while the motor is just sitting there at rest. It only lasts a fraction of a second to maybe a couple of seconds. And then, on the other side, you have the running current, the nice, quiet, steady-state current after the compressor finally reaches operating speed. If you only design your off-grid system for that quiet, steady state, you are basically walking right into a trap. All right, Section 3, tracking the startup spike. The cool thing is, we don't have to just rely on textbook theory here. We can actually watch this phenomenon happen in real time with a clamp meter. Step 1, we look at the initial steady state, pulling barely any power. Step 2, we trigger the compressor cycle. Bam. Step 3, the clamp meter catches this massive inrush spike. This is the LRA in action, hitting that huge multiplier we just talked about. And finally, step 4, as the motor overcomes its inertia and starts spinning, that back EMF builds up, the current rapidly drops off, and the motor stabilizes into its normal, boring running operation. Now, to be totally clear, the exact size and length of that spike isn't exactly identical every single time. It heavily depends on a few dynamic mechanical and environmental variables. First up is the compressor design itself. Second is the refrigerant pressure, specifically something called the head pressure equalization delay. If your compressor tries to start against really high, unequalized pressure, that surge is going to last longer. And third, basic ambient conditions, like the outside temperature, play a role too. It's a highly dynamic shifting event. Which brings us to Section 4, the ripple to the battery. This brilliantly illustrates how a localized event completely ripples through your entire solar system. On the AC side, out by the unit, it's a short burst of extreme current demand right at the compressor. But remember, the inverter has to supply that power. So on the DC side, to keep the voltage propped up, the inverter instantly yanks a massive surge of 48-volt current directly from your battery bank. The electrical stress literally teleports from the compressor through the wires straight to the battery in milliseconds. And here is the absolute kicker: transient voltage collapse. When the inverter yanks that massive current, your battery's voltage naturally sags. If it dips too far down during that violent inrush, it triggers the inverter's low voltage cutoff. The inverter just shuts down to protect itself. This hidden transient voltage sag is the actual culprit behind your 5 kilowatt inverter failing. It's not that your inverter couldn't handle the watts, it's that your battery voltage completely collapsed under the brutal sudden strain of those locked rotor amps. Finally, Section 5, Designing for System Stress. So, how do we use all this info to actually make better setups? Well, you've got to check these hidden risk points against your own system. First, is a voltage sag triggering your low voltage cutoff? Second, is that massive DC surge actually exceeding your battery management system's peak discharge rating and tripping the battery itself? Third, are your cables undersized? Thin cables cause a transient voltage drop of their own, leading to totally false inverter faults. And lastly, don't forget the cumulative thermal stress on the inverter's internal MOSFETs from that AC cycling on and off, over and over all day long. Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now. Well, I'll just throw a soft start on it. But hold on, there's a vital caveat here. Soft start systems absolutely reduce the electrical locked rotor amps, but they do not eliminate the mechanical load peaks. You are still asking a physical machine to move pressurized fluid from a dead stop. Soft starts are fantastic tools for sure, but please don't assume they're a magic bullet that lets you just ignore the laws of mechanical physics or deeply undersize your inverter. Let's lock in a few Colden's safety and design rules before we wrap up today. Rule 1, never, ever oversize your system based on running current alone, always designed for the surge. 2, strictly verify your inverter's true surge capability, not just its continuous output. 3, double-check that you have proper breaker and cable sizing to handle those split-second spikes without causing massive voltage drops. And lastly, a super important safety warning. Never probe live conductors without proper insulation. Those high startup currents can easily cause really dangerous arcing if your connections are loose or degraded. So, I want to leave you with this question. If your AC triggers a system shutdown, are you out there checking your continuous watt rating, or are you looking at your true surge capacity? Understanding the hidden reality of locked rotor amps really is the secret to a reliable, robust solar setup. It's all about looking way beyond the steady state. Rethink the surge, check those batteries, and design for the spike. I really hope this explainer has given you the tools to approach your off-grid system with total confidence. Until next time, keep learning and keep building.